So set 9 has been out for a while now, and with it there is the new set mechanic Legends. In the first couple of patches we have seen a lot of Twisted Fate, Draven, Ezreal and so on, but there has been one legend in particular that has been very underwhelming and severely underplayed, and that is Bard. But in the next patch 13.14, there are some reworks incoming for Bard that should allow him to finally shine as a strong and viable option in your games. Now, the reworks to Bard are primarily focused on his 2-1 augments, which are currently amongst some of the worst augments in the game. Firstly, his silver augment has been entirely reworked, from providing a 2-star 3 cost at level 6 to granting a copy of a particular 3 cost unit every time you level up. So now this augment will no longer potentially sabotage your board, as you were playing an augment down until you hit level 6. And then you could potentially receive a unit you couldn't do anything with, so you just instantly sold that unit. Now with this augment, you'll instantly get value as soon as you level up, and you'll know as soon as possible what unit you'll be getting from the augment. And this new augment grants significantly more flexibility, as you can play around what unit you receive, and by the time you are level 7, you'll have received 4 copies of that unit. So at that point, you can decide if you want to reroll to try 3-star that unit, or sell the extra copies so you can accrue more gold and push levels. And with this, it's possible to 2-star this 3 cost extremely early, through things like your shop rolls or the stage 2 carousel. But overall, Bard's new 2-1 silver augment is just so much better now than it was before. Okay, so the second rework to Bard is his Prismatic 2-1 augment, where that Radiant Armory will now open at level 7 rather than level 8. And I cannot understate how much better this feels. That gap between level 7 and 8 was huge, especially with the XP nerfs that came with set 9. With this change, you're no longer almost 1 life before opening that armory and having to decide what item to take when your tanks and carries already have their items. Now that level 7 spike is huge because you can select your Radiant item much sooner, and you can play around it significantly easier as you will have much more HP to play around. And getting this Radiant item much sooner allows you to adapt your board around that Radiant item. Although, if you play Bard, I would recommend that you never pre-level at 1-4, because if you get offered Caretaker's Ally, then you can miss a copy of this unit as you leveled before you receive the augment. Although that isn't the case for Caretaker's Chosen, and you can still receive the Anvil regardless if you pre-leveled or not. Anyway, these changes to Bard's 2-1 augments should greatly improve his viability amongst the other legends. However, even though Bard's augment provides anvils and you get more components overall, Bard's gold augment still feels slightly worse than Ezreal's gold augment, as you do not get any instant value from Bard. Ezreal players will usually have all of their components by 2-3, whereas usually the earliest you can get any value from Bard's augment is 2-5. So you're still kind of forced to loss streak with Bard even if you have a strong opening board. The intent behind Bard seems to reward pushing levels, but it's very difficult to do that when the augment does not provide any instant value. The only augment that does this is Caretaker's Ally, which is only a silver augment and so won't provide that much power. In my opinion, these changes aren't quite there yet, and playing Bard is still very difficult as you can have a very weak early game board as other players have augments that immediately strengthen their board. You're not always in a position to push levels, so having the power of these augments be behind that strategy makes it very hard to manage. On the other hand, Ezreal's 2-1 augments grants you the items without any conditions, so you can play with extreme flexibility and adopt different strategies from game to game. Whereas with Bard, it just feels like you should generally open with a loss streak if you take one of his 2-1 augments. But your board will be much stronger than others if you're able to get through the early and mid game. And that's because Bard's augments will give you a lot of control over your items, and overall you will get more items. So your late game board can easily outscale other boards like those who took Ezreal as their legend. If you pair Bard's new augments with the new Petricite Forest as well, then you can have an insane amount of agency over your items, which can enable many different types of boards. But yeah, I'm super curious what you guys think about this rework. Will this be enough to make Bard S tier, or will Bard still belong in the dumpster? Will you play Bard with these changes, or will you still avoid him at all costs? Let me know in the comments, and remember to subscribe. Anyway, check out these other videos if you want to see more from me, and as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.